didn't believe in curses, not really. Not even after everything my grandparents used to say about spirits and old things carrying memories. So when my uncle handed me the small carved pendant during our trip back to Laos, I took it more as a keepsake than anything else, a piece of history, something to remember where we came from. And it looked harmless enough. Dark wood worn smooth with age, shaped like a small figure with hollowed eyes and faint markings I couldn't read. And he told me it had been in the family for a long time, but nobody wanted it anymore. Said it brought bad luck. Said it should stay buried where it was found. But he laughed when he said it, like it was just an old superstition. And I laughed too, slipping it into my bag without a second thought, because I grew up in Minnesota, not in the mountains, and I believed in work and logic and things you could explain, not whispers about objects holding something inside them and nothing happened right away, not on the flight back, not the first few days at home. It just sat on my dresser, blending in with random clutter, keys, coins, receipts, until the first strange thing happened, something so small I almost ignored it. I woke up one night with the feeling that someone was standing in my room, not moving, just watching, and when I turned on the light, nothing was there, just the pendant on the dresser, slightly tilted like it had been touched. But I told myself I must have knocked it earlier, that I was just tired, jet-lagged, adjusting back to normal life. But the feeling didn't go away. It lingered the next night and the night after that, always around the same time, always just before I woke up, like something was waiting for me to notice it. And then I started dreaming, not random dreams, but the same one over and over. I was standing in a dense forest, unfamiliar but vivid, the air thick and still, and I could hear something moving behind me, but every time I turned, there was nothing there, just trees stretching endlessly, and then I would feel something brush my back, light at first, then firmer, like a hand, and that's when I would wake up, heart pounding, the room cold, colder than it should have been, and the pendant always just slightly out of place, like it had been moved while I slept, and I began to question myself, whether I was sleepwalking or imagining things. But one morning, I found it on my nightstand instead of the dresser, and I knew I hadn't put it there. I live alone. No one else had access, and that was the first time I felt something close to fear, real fear, the kind that doesn't go away with logic. So I called my uncle, joking at first, asking him if there was anything I should know about the pendant, and his tone changed immediately, the humor gone, replaced with something serious, almost hesitant, and he told me again that it should have been left where it was, that some things aren't meant to be moved, that the old people believed objects like that could carry attachments, not curses exactly, but something like a presence, something that follows. And I remember feeling annoyed, thinking he was feeding into the same superstition I had always dismissed. But after I hung up, the apartment felt different, quieter, like the air had thickened, and that night, I didn't sleep at all. I kept the lights on, telling myself I was being ridiculous. But sometime around 3 a.m, I heard it, a faint sound coming from the dresser, like wood scraping softly against wood. And I froze, staring into the dim light, watching as the pendant shifted slightly, just enough to confirm it wasn't my imagination, and my chest tightened, my mind racing for an explanation. Maybe vibrations, maybe something settling. But deep down I knew that wasn't it, because the movement was deliberate, slow, controlled, and I didn't get up to check it. I couldn't. I just sat there until morning, and when the sun finally came through the window, everything looked normal again. The pendant still, harmless, almost mocking, and I realized then that whatever was happening wasn't constant. It chose when to show itself, which made it worse, because it meant it was aware, and the next few days were a blur of unease. I avoided my apartment as much as possible, staying late at work, spending time anywhere else. But every time I came back, the feeling was waiting, subtle but undeniable, like I was no longer alone. And small things kept happening. Objects slightly moved, doors not fully closed, faint sounds when everything should have been silent, and I started noticing shadows that didn't match the light. Just for a second. Just enough to make me question my sanity. And the dreams got worse. More vivid. More real. Until one night, I didn't wake up immediately. I stayed in the dream longer than before. And this time, when I turned around, I saw it. A figure standing between the trees. Thin, unmoving. Its face obscured, but its presence overwhelming. And I felt a kind of dread I had never experienced before. Not just fear, but recognition. Like it had been waiting for me specifically. And when I woke up, I wasn't in my bed. I was standing in the middle of my room, facing the dresser, the pendant directly in front of me. And I don't remember getting up. I don't remember walking there. But I knew then that this wasn't something I could ignore anymore. So I packed it up, wrapped it tightly, and decided to get rid of it, thinking if I just threw it away, everything would stop. But when I reached the dumpster behind my building, I hesitated. Something about the idea felt wrong, like I was being watched even out there. And I realized that if my uncle was right, if there was something attached to it, throwing it away wouldn't end it. It might just make things worse. So instead I drove, not really knowing where I was going at first, just away, until I remembered a small nature preserve about an hour out, quiet, rarely visited, and something about it felt right, like a place where I could return the pendant to the ground. And when I got there, the sun was just starting to set, casting long shadows through the trees, and for a moment I felt that same unease from my dreams, but I pushed through it, walking deeper into the woods, until I found a spot that felt isolated enough, and I dug a small hole with my hands, placing the pendant inside, and as I covered it with dirt, I felt a sudden shift in the air, like a pressure lifting, subtle but immediate, and for the first time in days, I could breathe without that weight on my chest, and I stood there for a while, listening, waiting, but there was nothing, just the normal sounds of the forest, and when I finally left, the feeling didn't follow me. It stayed behind, and that night, I slept. No dreams, no waking in fear, just silence. And in the days that followed, everything returned to normal. No movement, no shadows, no presence, just my apartment as it had always been. And I understood then that some things aren't meant to be taken, not because they're cursed in the way stories say, but because they belong somewhere. And moving them brings something with them that doesn't belong anywhere else. And I never went back to that spot, not because I was afraid, but because I didn't need to. Whatever had been attached to that pendant was no longer part of my life, and I made peace with that, accepting that not everything needs to be explained. Some things just need to be respected and left alone, exactly where they were found.